Welcome back. In just about 12 hours, most Election Day polls will be open. Although in some places it's going to be midnight tonight, like our friends in New Hampshire. But we're going to check in on some of the marquee battlegrounds. We have correspondents across the country covering the races and states that we're going to be watching the closest. So I'm going to start in Georgia, where my friend Katie Tur is covering one of the tightest governor's races in the country that's also turned into a proxy war between the two bases of both parties. Katie, what are you seeing?
Yeah. And both presidents were out here this weekend stumping for their respective candidates. Brian Kemp had Donald Trump, he's a Republican, and Stacey Abrams had President Obama. Listen, this is a really tight race. They're within a point of each other. There's literally a decimal point difference between the two of them in the most recent round of polling. But it's not just how tight it is, or not just the fact that this is a really red state and it should have been easy for Brian Kemp. There's a lot of controversy here because there's a lot of national news making headlines. One, there's robocalls that have been making the rounds, racist robocalls against Stacey Abrams, who's running to be the first African-American governor of any state for a female in this country. There are charges of voter suppression. 53,000 voter registrations are on hold in the Secretary of State's office. 70% of them are African American. And there's a new investigation that the Secretary of State just launched into the Democrats, saying they tried to hack into the voter rolls, but they didn't offer any evidence of that. And it's all compounded, Chuck, as you know, because the Secretary of State is Brian Kemp, the same guy who is running for the Republican, running as a Republican for governor here in Georgia. So he's running as a Republican and he oversees the election.
And here's the best news of all for you Georgians. If no one gets 50%, they get to do this for another month. Imagine how much money and controversy this will feel like when it's the only game in town for a month, Katie. That'll be something else
exactly.
Anyway. Thanks very much. You might want to start renting a home there. Let's go to our own Vaughn Hilliard. He's in Arizona. We're watching a Senate showdown between Republican Martha McSally, Democrat Kyrsten Sinema. And Vaughn, while Georgia governor may take till December, Arizona Senate, while we probably aren't going to know the result tomorrow night, explain.
Exactly. It may not take a month, but it could be all the way up to 9 to 10 days. I want to share with you this little nugget here. I just got off the phone with an official out of the Maricopa County Recorder's Office. They will not release the results of early ballots in Arizona, in Maricopa County, that are turned in on Election Day until Thursday at 5 p.m. local. Why is this significant? Maricopa County, okay? 60% of the electorate in Arizona is in Maricopa County. About 10% of voters in Maricopa County will bring their early ballots to the polling location. So about 100,000 votes will probably be not known by us until beginning Thursday at 5 p.m. And at that point, they'll only begin to trickle them over the course of the next 9 to 10 days. So if this is within 1 percentage point, 1.5 percentage point tomorrow night, Chuck, I think we've got many days ahead of us.
So you just gave us the magic number. If the margin is essentially under, I'd say about 70,000, it sounds like. You said about 100,000 votes. So the margin's under 70, then yep, we could be here a while, right? Thanks very much.
Arizona's all right. We can do it.
Exactly. Vaughn Hilliard in Arizona. All right, let's go to from the West to the former gateway to the West, St. Louis, Missouri. Morgan Radford, incumbent Democrat Claire McCaskill, Republican Josh Hawley, locked in a very tight Senate race. The president is making his last stop of the campaign trail, essentially, with a couple of special guests that if it's clear it's not suburban America that they're campaigning in. Morgan, what do you got?
Oh, well, Chuck, as you mentioned, the president is coming here. He's having a rally here tonight at 9 p.m. And this is really his final pitch ahead of tomorrow's election. And we expect to hear him double down on a lot of the same messaging we've heard from Republican contender Josh Hawley. He's saying, one, he's trying to convince Missouri voters that control of the Senate could come down to this state. But Josh Hawley, like the president, has also said this midterm election is about security. One, securing the borders, but two, securing President Trump's victory. Hawley said at a recent campaign event that Democrats are basically still mad about the last presidential election. So he told his supporters that basically every single victory they've had in the last year, they're going to see stripped away if they do not vote Republican. We have seen unprecedented amount of energy around this midterm election here in Missouri, regardless of who people say they're voting for. Chuck.
Well, and Missouri, not an early voting state, so it's all about getting that energy to show up on actual election day, which is why the president's got Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh as his special guests tonight. Anyway, Morgan Radford, thank you. Katie, Vaughn, thank you as well. Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.